Okay, episode 25 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast, coming to you from a beautiful Twin Cities Sunday, I guess, early fall afternoon. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. How's it going, bud?
It is going great. So just to let you know, I tried to get back. Connor got NHL 23, and I decided to sit down and give it a go. And boy, do I suck at video games. Like I used to be so good, and now I'm just terrible. I actually had to change the controls back to like the NHL 94 when it's like one button shoots, one button passes, because there's just so much stuff you can do. I need to get better at it.
Yeah, I haven't played a sports video game in forever. What was the last game or last version of NHL that you truly played quite a bit?
Oh man, truly played, like did, multiple franchises upon franchises. I couldn't even remember. Probably 15, or I'd say 10 years ago, probably 2007, 8-ish. I have a feeling I did a lot of franchises then. College did a lot, but yeah, they look really good, but holy cow, they become complicated.
Can't say I did that. I've been doing a lot of yard work here, preparing for fall or winter, I guess, Minnesota life, right? Got to make sure your grass doesn't get killed by all the snow. So busy doing that. And now here we are in this, probably like 73, 74 degree day. We're living the podcast life. This is what podcasters do, I guess, huh?
Yeah, we come inside and hunker down.
Supporting our show is easy. If you love the Gong Show, want to see us thrive and help us grow and produce more and better content, the best way for you to do that would be to support us via Patreon. Right now, we have a out of 99 tier, so you can be one of the first 99 supporters of our show and forever have that title. You also get exclusive access to the Gong Show Discord. And there we do lots of stuff. You get inside information on shows. If we have upcoming guests that we're going to interview, you can offer questions that you would like us to ask and just have some general great hockey card conversation. Obviously, supporting us helps cover our expenses, continue to produce more and better hockey card content. And then there's a bunch of initiatives that we want to eventually put into place to do our small part to help grow the hockey card hobby. Thank you so much for your consideration. Since last show, we do have one new patron that we want to acknowledge who's joined the 99 Club, MCoop56. Thank you so much for your support of our show. All right, Troy, lots to get to today. You want to start with the game plan?
On today's show, we continue our look at the greatest NHL player to wear the number that matches our current episode number. This week, it's number 25. Next is a rookie deep dive on Shane Pinto. Then a quick update on the current movers and shakers in the NHL. We then tackle hobby news and also look at the October 2022 Goldin Elite auction results that specifically pertain to hockey cards. Finally, we end the show with new product releases and any personal pickups and or sales. All right, so let's go on to the vintage subject. So Josh, did you cheat and see who the player was? Number 25.
I did, but okay. I didn't read anything else.
Okay, I was wondering because it's funny because I try to think about who it would be before, and I've been 0 for 2. So, and I am very bad at, unless it's like a really obvious number, I'm terrible. So number 25, greatest NHL player to wear number 25 per the Hockey Writers is Joe Nieuwendyk. Josh, are you familiar with Joe Nieuwendyk?
The name, yes, and I think a little bit from when we did Mount Rushmore. I was trying to think really quick though. Are there any notable current players that you can think of that wear 25?
I can't currently, but I do know one that I thought, but I had to verify that might be, if we ever get this to roll through and people like it, I think Jacques Lemaire wore 25, and he was a pretty good hockey player. So I was trying to think of those other number 25s.
The greatest dump and chase coach ever.
Yeah, he was definitely old school in that regard. No, I'm so bad with current player. If it's not a Wild, I usually am sure, unless it's just a completely obvious.
Can you think of anyone on the Wild that currently wears number 25?
Brodin, right?
Oh yeah, I was going to say. I know Dumbo was 24.
Yeah,
and I was thinking Duhaime or Brodin. I'm pretty sure it's Brodin.
On air production meeting. Let's look. It is. Yeah, it's Brodin.
Gotcha.
So I'm glad I got that one right. I would have looked like an idiot. Anyways, all right. So let's get on to it. Joe Nieuwendyk, center. He played 1,257 regular season games over a 20-year NHL career. Very long career. That puts him 89th all time for games if you just want to get a gauge of where he's at. Played 9 years with Calgary, 7 years in Dallas, 2 years with the Devils, and 2 years in Florida, and a year in Toronto. Not in that order. I kind of just went by where he played the most to the least. He is a Hall of Famer, 3-time Cup winner. He won the Cup with Calgary once, Dallas once, and New Jersey once. He was Rookie of the Year winner in 1987 and 88. He was a 94, 95 Clancy winner, 1998, 99 Conn Smythe winner, and he did win a 2002 Olympic gold medal. He, for his career in regular season, had 546 goals, which puts him 24th all time, 562 assists, which puts him, I didn't put down what that was, but that's 1,126 points for his career. He averaged a little under 1 point a game. What I really thought was interesting when I looked where he was in the rankings for points, he's 61st all time, and he's tied at 61st with Mike Bossy, who played 10 less seasons than Joe Nieuwendyk. I thought that was just pretty interesting how Bossy is tied with him at 61st, who played a lot less. I loved Bossy, and I'm going to say this again. It's just one of those greatest what ifs if he could have stayed healthy, but we'll never know. But I thought that was just an interesting tidbit. So Nieuwendyk, he made, out of his 20 years, he made the playoffs in 16 of his NHL seasons, 158 games played, 66 goals, 50 assists for 116 points in the playoffs. So definitely showed up when playoffs mattered. He played his college hockey at Cornell University, and in his last season as a junior, he was a finalist for the Hobey Baker. He was a 2-time All-American Award winner in college as well. With his, if you look at his stats, his rookie season with the Flames, he was actually in the hunt to break Mike Bossy's then rookie goal record of 53. He actually came out of the gates flying, but he ended up short by 2 goals. He had 51 goals in his rookie year. Nieuwendyk, he's one of those guys, I knew who he was. I don't think I remember him a lot just because I remember his card. I obviously had his card, but being up in Calgary, I feel like we didn't get a lot of him down here. And I don't remember him that well, but I do remember a little bit seeing him play. And you do the research. He was definitely skillful. He had smarts. He had great hockey IQ. A lot of the comparisons you read, they compared him to a European-style player, which back then the Europeans were known for skill, but not the physical part of the game. They were they come over and get beat up and complain. But they were definitely skillful. He had great sticker on the net, great shot. Definitely known for seeing the ice well. He was the second honoree in the Forever a Flame program, which is kind of cool. And after his playing career, definitely stayed active. He had front office positions and various scouting roles with various teams. Definitely a good player, Hall of Fame player. I kind of wish I would have known more about him, like if I watched him play more when I was younger. But is there anything obviously, I'm guessing you and me are about the same boat with.
Yeah, he wasn't really on my radar growing up.
Yeah. So his cards, this is one of those guys too. He's going to get lumped into that, you call it whatever you want to call it, the junk wax era, even though maybe hockey didn't get affected that by the junk wax to the extent of baseball, but he gets lumped in with all that. His rookie card is the 88-89 OPG/Topps. So there's obviously an OPG version. There's also a Topps version. And then I did put a second year card down. It's not even worth looking at. There's so few graded copies, and they're pretty cheap if you want it. But his rookie card, let's look at the 88-89 OPG PSA 10. It has a pop of 85. The most recent sale I could find on eBay was from August, and it was around $489, which in my head, I can't equate. Is that a good value? I mean, it seems kind of cheap for a Hall of Famer with over 1,000 points, 3 cups. But I don't know. It
kind of feels right to me. The pop count is what really stands out to me in your report here is the pop count at 85. And it goes back to that whole junk wax conversation that always comes up anytime you talk about a card from this era, in that, people will justify a low price saying it's junk wax. And you say, well, the pop is only actually 85 on this card. Yeah. And then they will kind of intimate that, well, there's probably 30,000 sitting in basement somewhere. And it's like, I just don't think so what is that? We're now 34 years past his rookie card, that the pop count is going to be 10x anytime in the near future. And I also think it's maybe worth us looking into a little bit deeper at a later date, but there's something about the 87, 88, 89 sets, especially on the OPG side, where there's some big rookies that, I like. That's where you got like Sakic too, right? And was Hall 86 or 87?
I don't know off the top of my head.
So there's a bunch of players that I think are really interesting from that era. So I don't know, it feels right. It also feels like, boy, you're getting a Hall of Fame guy who played 20 years, made a meaningful impact in the league, a pop count of 85. So that's less than a Future Watch auto, that's for sure, or a Cup RPA. I'm not trying to compare those cards, but it's just really low pop count. And so I would think that would be a really cool investment to have.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Brett Hull's rookie season was 86, 87.
That's what I thought.
So right in that era, and with Calgary.
Yeah.
5 games. He had more than that, 5 and 52. Sorry. Looking at some stats. Also on this Nieuwendyk rookie card, the OPG version, I also found a BGS 9.5. Pop is 50. The last sale I could find was from January, and it was for around $475. And that one had 3 10 subgrades and one 8.5. So I'm guessing that might affect that a little bit. So right around
low
the
pop
PSA.
there too.
Yeah, low pop. Yep. And if you want to get even cheaper than that, it's PSA 9 or it's PSA 8 version of that card. The PSA 9 goes for around $80. And the PSA 8, you can get it for like $20. Probably a little less if you waited for a deal. And there's way more of those. The PSA 9, there's 451 graded copies. The PSA 8 was 224. So again, there's definitely, if you want to take a step down, you can find them. They're pretty readily available.
Infer that there's a pretty decently low gem rate, right? If there's 451 PSA 9s and 224 PSA 8s and 85 or 88 PSA 10s, that's 600. So out of 700, 100. So I don't know about 15-20% gem rate, probably at the most. Pretty low gem rate.
So that's the Joe Nieuwendyk kind of overview. Quick hit, number 25. So next week will be 26. Take your bets who you think it will be. I have no clue. I didn't look it up yet.
Okay, let's make a hard left from vintage, all-time Hall of Fame player into our rookie deep dive for the week. So this is our 6th installment of the rookie deep dive. We've covered so far Matty Beniers, Matt Boldy, Shane Wright, Juraj Slavkovsky, Owen Power. Like we've been doing every week, we're doing an Instagram poll and letting you guys decide who the deep dive for the week is. And I forgot to write down who exactly. I think it was Alexander Holtz, Shane Pinto, Calen Addison, and
Addison
Kent Johnson.
Sure.
And Kent Johnson.
Was one of those a goalie?
No.
Oh, I was going to say we should have had a goalie because then we could have had a team right now. Because you've done 5, this will be the 6th. We'd have our starting rookie deep dive team.
Yeah, starting rookie deep dive. Okay, maybe I'll throw in a goalie for next week. Who won pretty convincingly was Shane Pinto. Not a big surprise. He's had a pretty good start to the season. He's a 21-year-old Senators center hailing from the U.S., from New York. Pretty decent-sized guy, 6'2", 192 pounds. He was the 32nd overall pick in the 2019 draft by Ottawa. Pinto played 2 years collegiately at UND, University of North Dakota. That's a tough one to say when you're a Gophers fan, but...
Well, I was going to think, I don't know that much about Shane Pinto, and now that I saw he was at UND, that's probably why. I probably just had no interest because stinking UNDs. And they beat the Gophers last night, but the Gophers won Friday, so... Really, really fun games, and I'm glad they got them back on the schedule for once, because... I
watched, I think it was part of the second period of that Gophers, this is a total tangent, of that Gophers UND game last night. Gophers were dominating. It's pretty interesting watching the Gophers this year because we got Logan Cooley on the team, who was he the number 4 pick or number 3 pick?
Yeah, he's somewhere in there.
Anyways, they're dominating the game. It's like 30 shots to 10. They're up 2-0, and within a minute, North Dakota scores 3 goals. It was almost like literally like a minute and a half or something like that. It was crazy. Okay, I digress. Back to Shane Pinto. So he did play 2 years collegiately at the University of North Dakota before signing a 3-year entry-level contract with the Senators after his sophomore year. He was about a point-per-game scorer at UND, including 15 goals and 17 assists in 28 games as a sophomore. So again, what we're trying to do with all these guys is look at their pedigree, how consistently did they score, produce points, and do we think that will translate to the NHL? He made his Senators debut in the 2021 season, playing the final 12 games, finishing with a goal and 6 assists. Not bad. So going into last season, right, the 2021-22 season, expectations were pretty high. And after 5 games and 1 assist, Pinto injured his shoulder last October 21st, so almost a year ago exactly, and missed the rest of the season, right? So that was a big bummer for him and for the Senators and, of course, their fans last year. So I think he had surgery, healed up, got through camp, ready to go this year. And he's, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, had a pretty good start to the season. He scored, I think, even again last night. So through 5 games played, he's got 5 points, 4 goals, and an assist. To start the season, Ottawa has him centering the third line, and he's on the second power play unit. So he should have a decent opportunity to produce. It's going to be really tough for him, Troy, though, to probably move up into a top 6 role unless he changes positions, because he's behind right now for Ottawa. You have Stützle centering the first line and Josh Norris centering the second line. So it might have to be injury or move to wing to get more of a top 6 opportunity.
Well, if I'm Ottawa, man, and I got a third line center scoring 4 goals in 5 games, I'm
pretty happy.
I'm pretty happy right now, and that's pretty sweet.
Looking at his hockey cards real quick. So his 2021-22 Series 2 Young Gun, just looking at some current values, Raw's about $13, which is pretty close to where it was around the 1st of October. I didn't check since he scored again last night, so that could be creeping up a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised. And I thought I would just throw in for some context, looking at his top sales so far. So in March, for $630, someone snapped up one of the very elusive, and you don't see these real often, the Young Gun Clear Cut exclusives. So that would be a good one to have if you're a Pinto fan. Well, that's our rookie deep dive on Shane Pinto. For next week, we will do another Instagram poll, try to put some interesting rookies up there, and continue our series. And again, just for anyone who is curious or wondering, kind of the whole idea behind this is a lot of times we judge rookies by their card value, and this is something I'm super guilty of, not really knowing much about these guys. And so our hope here is to not only Troy and myself educate us about who these people are, try to get some context as to where they came from, what their opportunity is at the NHL level, so we can make smart decisions about who we're buying and who we're not. All right, let's move on to some movers and shakers. And we'll start, this is kind of our who's not hot and who's not section as we continue to look at, I guess, the start of the season. One of the things Troy and I talked about earlier that's probably worth mentioning here right off the top is we're really struggling with the who's not hot section because there's been so few games that it's hard to be fair to someone and say that, and we don't want it to imply that anyone stinks just because they haven't scored a goal in 4 games. Anyone can turn it on the drop of a dime and recover from a 2, 3, 4 game start in no time. So, I think that conversation will be a little bit more meaningful a week or 2 down the road. If we get 20% in the season and somebody's got a goal, then I think it's probably more worth talking about. So we have more kind of focusing on who's had a really good start. And the first on my list today, Troy, is Valeri Nichushkin from your Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. He, as of right now, so again, Sunday afternoon before the Sunday night games are played, is your NHL scoring leader with 11 points, 6 goals, and 5 assists in 6 games. He's 27 years old, right? So he should be right in his prime. Just signed a pretty big $50 million contract extension. That's definitely paying off for the Avalanche so far. He had a breakout year last year, scoring a career-high 52 points with 25 goals. Given he has 11 points in 6 games, there's a decent chance that he meets or exceeds that 52-point mark he set last year. He is getting, Troy, some extra opportunity this year there with the injury to Gabriel Landeskog to start the season, and then also with Nazem Kadri moving on to Calgary. So I think the 2 guys that may benefit the most from that are Nichushkin and then Alex Newhook, who kind of slid into Kadri's spot from last season. As of right now, Nichushkin, he's been playing on Colorado's second line and then their first power play unit. Should be some decent opportunity there. His 2013 Young Gun PSA 10 is just a pop 90. Sold today, again, the day we're recording on Sunday, for $95 US, which actually ties its all-time high from June earlier in the year. You can also get a 2013 SP Authentic Future Watch Auto Raw, still for about $35.
Wow.
I actually picked one up for that exact price this summer. And I don't know what you think, Troy, but that seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a good deal. I like Nichushkin. I mean, I've kind of watched him over the years, and he just seems to be one of those guys that gets gradually better and better. Now he's hitting his prime, and he's really showing what he can do. Hopefully he can keep it going. I just looked it up quick because I was curious of what's he got, 6 goals, 4 of them, it looks like, were on the power play, which both
he's producing really well on the power play. Next guy on my list is one carryover from last week, Mr. Stamkos, Stammer here. He is, as of, again, the time we're recording, the NHL goal leader for the season at 7. I wanted to bring him up because, if you'll recall, last week, one of the things we talked about is there really wasn't any movement on his key rookie cards, where we typically look at like the graded PSA 10 Young Guns, which in the case of Stamkos is 2008, or the BGS 9.5. Mm-hmm. And again, just hasn't been any sales since then. So normally when I look at typically sales history for doing stuff like show prep, I don't look at active listings much, but today I just had to, because I'm like, okay, the guy was I think he might have been leading the league in points 4 days ago. He's still number 1 in goals. How is it possible that none of his cards are selling? And I did find a number of both PSA 10 and BGS 9.5 listed for sale, but I just think they're asking a lot. For instance, right now, there's a couple buy now offers on his PSA 10 for $578, where the most recent comps are $470 or $400. So it's almost, it's 45% over recent comps. And then on the BGS 9.5 side, people seem to be asking around the $300 US range. And the last sale there was $185 US. So that's more than 50%. And so that could be some of the problem, is that sellers seem to be wanting a big premium right now.
Well, I'm telling you, if he keeps producing like this and his prices stay stagnant, we're going to have to cancel the podcast for a week and just do a deep dive research project onto why his prices are not moving.
Yeah, it's crazy. He is one guy that it's really mind-boggling. And it goes back to that, we talk about this almost every week. It's that hype factor, and just why isn't there more hype around him? I don't know if there is a way to answer that question, but I would love to know it. Another guy on my list this week is familiar to us, Mr. Calen Addison, defenseman for the Minnesota Wild. He's been a bright spot for a pretty brutal start to our beloved Wild season. He currently leads all rookies with 6 points in 5 games played. He does have 0 goals, but 6 assists. 5-on-5, he's been playing on the third D-line pairing, but he's really shined, Troy, as I'm sure you've noticed, in special teams, where he's been anchoring the first power play unit. He also seems to have a really good chemistry with Kaprizov right now, and has set up a few of his goals. That's been the one area that the Wild have been good at. The only area has been power play, where I don't have the stats, maybe but they got to be close to leading the league in that.
I don't know what it is, but I know they're a lot better. I know that was a point of emphasis this year because their special teams were terrible last year.
Looks like collectors are starting to notice too. Last sale for his 2021 Young Guns Raw I saw was for like $11.27. If you would have gone back 3 weeks ago to the beginning of the month, this is a $1 to $2 card all day long.
There's an example of a $1 to $2 Young Guns. Remember our mailbag question last week?
Yeah.
Even though this was, from 2 to 3 months ago, you said?
Oh, it's 2-3 weeks ago. No, going back
weeks ago. Sorry. Okay, weeks ago.
I'll let you take the next one because we wanted to add a little goalie to our Who's Hot list, and Troy prepared Mr. Oettinger for us. So
Jake Oettinger, man, he just basically continued where he left off from the playoff run, or not playoff run, from the one playoff series last year where he was a world beater and couldn't win it, but he did everything in his power to help Dallas win. So he is off to a great start. He is 4-0 with a 1.25 goals against and a .959 save percentage. He leads all goalies with a 5.48 goals saved above average. And last week he was named the NHL third star of the week. Don't ask me who the first star and the second star were. I didn't look them up. You might know, Josh, but maybe McDavid and someone else. But yeah, so he's definitely started off hot. In full disclosure, I PC Oettinger. I have a ton of his stuff, a lot of autos. I got his Young Guns in an SGC 10. So obviously I'm happy with the start, but it's a goalie. You never know. They could come crashing down to earth and have, all it does is take a week or two of bad starts to erase a lot of goodwill they've gained. His 2020 Young Guns is PSA 10. Just looking at recent sales on the ones I could find were on 1018 in the 150-ish range. And that seems to be trending up just a tad. The previous 10 days, sales ranged anywhere from 110 to 140. So it's creeping up. It's not like a drastic increase or anything. Obviously, probably with a goalie, you need more body of work, even though he's still young. It's still only really his second year starting. He has definitely started this season off hot.
I know it's early and we keep saying that as our little disclaimer, but to me, this is what's fun about the season is to follow the up and down arrows on their players. And just because somebody's up today or down tomorrow, it doesn't mean that that's what their career is going to end up with. But one of the things I think that's interesting to compare with Oettinger right now is the dichotomy between him and Swayman. I didn't have Swayman on our list, but we had him in our 2021 Young Guns update on our Instagram post the other day, and Swayman's down to $10 raw.
Yeah, I remember I had, when I first opened, I think a personal box, was it Series 1 or 2? I can't remember what he was in.
It's Series 1.
Series 1. I think I sold mine, I want to say for $75, maybe $80 is what I sold it right away. I guess that was a good move for now.
Well, they just seem to be giving Linus Allmark a little more of an opportunity there in Boston, and Ottinger's the guy, and he's playing well. And so as of today, right, you could even make the argument that if he keeps playing this way, that Oettinger could be in the Vezina discussion at the end of the year. Just crazy. We will move it. We do have one entry for who's not. And like I said, we tried hard not to.
Well, should this be like... This one was... Should this be like dumpster fire section? Not who's not hot. It was just like complete dumpster fire through 6 games or whatever.
And maybe this is just us feeling better about ourselves because we've had to suffer through a pretty rough week as Wild fans. But just to know that it has not been as bad as the Vancouver start to the season. Holy cow. Not only are they the last winless team in the NHL after a 0-4-2 start through 6 games, it looks like there's already tension in the locker room. There's tension with the coach. It's pretty early for these players only meeting articles to be written. You've got JT Miller, who had a really great season last year with 99 points, catching the ire of teammates and fans by being quoted in some article saying that he's really pleased with how he's played in the defensive zone, yet -6 on the season with 3 points. Yeah, I don't know. Troy, I think you have some opinions on our guy, Bruce Boudreau.
Well, yeah, even before that, I mean, even with the Canucks team, I think it was yesterday's game, you could see on Twitter, there was someone posted, I can't remember who the players were. Was it Miller? Miller and Sheen got into like an argument on the ice. As they're skating off, you can just see them kind of butting heads, but it didn't look that bad. But it's another one of those things. Tensions are boiling. Everything's kind of coming to a heat. Their coach, obviously, we have a lot of experience with in Minnesota, Bruce Boudreau. I wasn't the biggest fan of him when he was here. I think the game currently has passed him by. I don't know if he knows how to handle these young players, the superstars. It just seems like when he was with the Wild, I don't think he handled lines well. I don't think he handled personalities very well. He was very loyal to letting veterans kind of do what they want and not upsetting them, not taking Koivu off those top lines for so long. So I just think Boudreau might be a little, I don't want to say in over his head. He's been around forever. He's got a cup, I believe, as a coach. But I don't know if he's the right guy for what is going on with that group.
They have a lot of talent. And I think from a hockey card perspective and hobby perspective, it hurts a little bit because you've got some pretty prominent players that people collect and that hold value. You have, of course, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Podkolzin, 2021 rookie. And so if they really struggle, that could hurt all of their card values throughout the year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then another thing I just remembered off the top of my head, I was reading an article where obviously the fans got pretty fed up after they were booing during the game. The article I read was saying they were booing during Sweet Caroline. They were just booing the whole game against the Canucks and the home crowd. And then the fans they're saying, they keep asking the GM, why are you not doing a rebuild? Why do you sign these veteran players, these huge contracts when they're 30 years old? And he didn't really give a great answer. And I think after the Sedins were gone, I think the fans are actually clamoring for a rebuild, even though maybe now they're in the Bedard sweepstakes. So that starts the rebuild.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's time to order your Canucks Bedard jersey. All right, that's who's hot and who's not for this Monday episode of the Gong Show. I want to transition a little bit into hobby news, have some quick hitting, but I think interesting nuggets to go over today. I don't know, Troy, if you saw, but PSA published their September 22 grading update. And to me, there's a couple of really interesting hockey nuggets in that. First was hockey is the 6th most submitted category of sports cards in all, behind baseball, Pokemon, basketball, football, non-sport, which I think is must be entertainment cards.
Yeah, they must. I wonder if they just group all those celebrity cards into one.
And you might say, well, so what? They're number 6 behind mostly obvious categories. But to me, the nugget here is they were ahead of soccer, which if you follow the PSA grading trends, soccer has been ahead of hockey for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're headed into the World Cup. So I would think that there'd be a lot of soccer cards being submitted right now. Don't know what it means. It's just kind of interesting to point out.
Well, I still get kind of dumbfounded by how big. I mean, soccer is huge. Hockey's small. It's kind of nuts, but I don't know how the soccer card market is. I'm not a big soccer card market. I try to keep up with some of it. There's a podcast I like to listen to, even though I have no knowledge of what's going on or what they're talking about. But yeah, to me, it's pretty interesting on hockey kind of taking, I don't know if they took it back or they kind of got in front of soccer again.
The next note really perplexes me. So PSA also revealed the 10 most submitted sports cards of any kind for September as well. The number 2 card submitted is a 2005 Upper Deck Power Play number 133 Sidney Crosby. It seems super random to me. And just to reiterate the point, there is more of that 2005 Upper Deck Power Play Crosby than 22 Topps Wander Francos, 2020 Prism LaMelo Ball, 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr., 1996 Kobe Bryant. Was somebody just have a 5,000 count box of these and send them all to PSA or something?
Yeah, I this is where I will be the first to admit I have no clue. I have no idea. I feel like we should send the bat signal out to Jeremy Lee because I know he's pretty knowledgeable on this stuff. Maybe he knows why this is the number 2 submitted card. I have no idea.
I even thought for a second was I wonder if it has to do with Crosby's hot start. But then I quickly remembered that this is the September grading report before the season even started. Very strange. Okay, last note on PSA grading report is most submitted hockey players. Are you looking at the list or can you guess?
No, I just stare. I'm as you said that, I'm sitting there staring at the list.
Okay, play at home for a second. Number 1, I don't think it's any shock. 99, he seems to be lead every list. So Wayne Gretzky, number 1. Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid. Our guy, Kaprizov, is number 4. And Mario Lemieux, number 5.
Yeah, Lemieux surprises me. Yeah, Lemieux surprises me.
2 vintage, 3 current players. Besides, it's as much as I'd love to call Kaprizov an all-time great, can't right now. So 4 all-time greats and 1 up-and-coming star. Also wanted to mention quickly, checked out the Hockey Cards Index on Card Ladder today, Troy. And in the last month, hockey cards are up 1.72%. It's actually the only sport that's had growth in the past month.
Yeah, take that. Screw you, other sports.
There you go. So just for some context, baseball is down 1.38%. And as you know, we're in the playoff run there, so you would expect some strong sales in baseball. Basketball is down 5.33%. Just like hockey, the season's just underway. Here's an ouch.
Yeah.
Football down 19% over the last month.
That's what we've heard, though. You listen to other people talking. Football is just getting hammered.
And then soccer, this one's really strange to me, is down 6.78%. Just mentioned a second ago, on the heels of the World Cup. But I think I want to go back to football real quick and see if you agree with me, Troy. I think when you hear people panicking about the sports card market, and if you're a general sports card collector, football has been one of the most popular sports. It's where all the big rookie quarterback sales have been. I can see you thinking the sky is falling, when you're down almost 20% over the past month. But it's just not the experience that hockey is having, at least to this point. So it's pretty cool to see that we're up almost 2% over the last month. I will definitely take that.
Here's my question for you. Do you remember in your research what the number 1 card ladder index is for percentage growth in the month, for monthly change?
It's that Josh Luber culture one.
It's the Culture 51, which probably makes sense. I think they probably had a struggle a little bit because they have Marvel cards in there, which I know have been hurt. They got Star Wars. Yeah. It's all those kinds of cards. But it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun, kind of cool to look at.
Also in the news, a lot of people have reported this, but I think it's kind of interesting. There's an Adam Sandler sports card movie planned. He's teaming up again with the Safdie brothers. That's who he made the movie Uncut Gems with, and you haven't seen that, right, Troy?
I have not seen it.
It's pretty good. It's a basketball and gem movie. I mean, I guess basketball players wear lots of very expensive chains and diamonds, and so there's tons of cameos in it. It was really kind of gritty and dark. So, don't think of this as like a Happy Gilmore probably type movie. I'm guessing there'll be some shadiness involved in it, but I think it's generally a good thing. Anytime you can introduce the concept of sports card collecting to the masses or general public, you're bound to generate some interest in the hobby. And it's just like, I think it's kind of like the same category that I put, I guess why I think when there's record sales, why it's really important that those are on the CNNs of the world or ESPN.coms, because those are the really kind of, although way more $5 cards are sold than 1952 Mickey Mantles, it's those splashy headlines that kind of draw people in and get them interested in checking the hobby out. One thing, though, of note is that I think they're probably still in the planning stages or script stage. I'm not a big movie guy, but it sounds like it'll be late next fall or early 2024 before the movie's out. And it's a Netflix production, right?
Netflix production. I'm interested. I'm glad this can, I don't know if it's done right, maybe help the hobby, but I have complete faith that Netflix will make this. They'll ruin it or do something stupid and we'll all laugh at it, but I hope not.
I don't think any one thing like this makes a huge impact, but if there's if there's movies or stories of, like I said, of all-time sales, and sports cards is just able to get itself into the public at large's eye on a repetitive basis, then I think that's where it starts to have a big impact. So it's kind of part of the machine.
Yeah,
the machine itself.
I think there's been some documentaries, but I know there's a big documentary coming out on sports cards. I think Sports Cards Nonsense is part of it. They've been talking about a documentary coming out.
I don't know if you also saw, switching gears here real quick, the reverse retro jerseys that came out a few days ago.
I got lots of opinions.
Okay. To me, I think this is a super smart move, of course, by the NHL. All it does is draw more fan interest, obviously more merch sales for them too. And so you might, why do we care about it on a Hockey Cards podcast? I think it is important because just like we saw with, like, for instance, Kirill Kaprizov's Future Watch Auto is in a reverse retro. These sweaters are going to end up on Hockey Cards, and it could make some really cool card opportunities. Did you see the ESPN article where they ranked?
I did.
Them? Okay, so I'm going to go through them, and then you fill in anything I left out or agree or disagree with ESPN. I'll kind of go in reverse chronological order and start with number one. So they ranked the Panthers number one. I'm not going to describe to great detail. You guys can just search for 2022-23 NHL reverse retro and find the ESPN article pretty quick. But to me, what stood out, it's one of the biggest departures from the normal sweaters.
Yeah.
It's got that very Florida vibe, almost like the Heat do with their alternate uniforms. So very Florida colors. It's got a palm tree, all that sort of stuff. So that was number one. Skipping up to number three, the Canadians, while they stuck to their kind of core branding, they put it on a powder blue jersey. Yeah. And I don't know what you feel about that, but I like it.
I don't mind it. I think it's a boring one to me. It's just,
okay.
I don't think they put much. There's some of these I was like, you didn't even put any effort into it. It sounds like it, you were struggling, you were late. So you just slapped this together.
Just change a color here and there. And number four, the Kings went with the old school vintage crown and the purple gold colors. That's always been one of my personal
my number one jersey by far. I love it. That to me is the best looking one. I love that jersey.
So who's a card that, maybe there's a
Marcel Dion
Turcotte Future Watch or something like that.
Or I was thinking a vintage player, Marcel Dion.
Yeah, vintage player.
Go get a Marcel Dion. He'll have that one on.
And that was at number four. Number 12 on the ESPN list is one of my favorites, actually. It's the Canucks jersey featuring Johnny Canuck as their logo, which I don't know. I'm not going to profess to be an expert here, but I think it's like a WHL tie-in or something like that. And to be honest, sorry, Canucks fans, if this is offensive, don't mean to be. I like it better than the normal uniforms.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like the ones that kind of take a departure, and that one definitely takes a departure.
This is a little bunk, in my opinion, but they ranked the Wild's North Stars themed retro at 21. And their point, which gets back to what you just said, was it's so similar to their last reverse retro where they basically went with the white jersey and now they're going with the green jersey. I just don't care. It's the Minnesota boy in me probably, but anytime you put Wild logo on North Stars colors, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that ranking. I just think it wasn't I love the colors, obviously the North Stars, but it's very similar to the one previously.
Okay, I'm going to say something super sacrilegious here and probably going to sadden many, many Wild fans, or maybe not. Maybe people agree with me. I don't love the Wild's colors to begin with.
Yeah,
I much prefer
they're not the greatest. Even the name's kind of weird. Wild, not plural.
Oh, the name's totally weird.
Teams. I wish they could go with these North Star colors, but maybe that's too much.
Yeah,
trying to be the good old days. But I agree. I'm not a big fan of the Wild's current colors, but
it's like Santa's Village.
Yeah, they're functional.
It's too Christmassy. Not that
I love
Christmas.
That was definitely the commentary when they first released the colors, how it kind of looked like Christmas.
And my point here, I guess how that relates to the reverse retros is if they didn't go with the North Stars vibe, it would be a very early Wild jersey, which I think are super ugly.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I like the Wild sweaters now. The only Wild uniform I've really ever liked is the red one with the circle logo, but I guess that's here or there. In general, just like you said, Troy, in my opinion, many of them were too similar to the normal uniforms. And I think that from an ESPN perspective, hurt their ranking too. The one, though, that we do have to mention is who came in last. Did you see Tampa Bay's?
I'm going to look at it right now. Tampa Bay.
I think it's hideous. It looks to me like a motocross jersey, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's
more than a hockey jersey.
Yeah, it does look like motocross. I'm not a fan of that one at all.
Some people might love it, but no, definitely not a fan.
It's kind of funny. The one I really, really liked, I know people have been poo-pooing it a little bit. I love the San Jose Sharks one. Just because it's a throwback to the California Seals, which is an old team. Now, I get the feedback. People are saying it looks like a football jersey. It kind of looks like a Chargers jersey almost with the I don't know what you call it, piping on the arms. But I still love it. I love the colors. I love everything. I really like how that one looked. I do think the Kraken should have had Bowie on theirs. Deranged mascot Bowie. Gross. I thought would have been fun.
Well, it's really unfair for the Kraken to have a retro.
That's why you have
retro
Bowie.
To what?
That's why you have Bowie
4 months ago.
Bringing it home.
I think they want to sell jerseys. Not sure that would help.
All right.
There we go. Moving on, I got a couple quick card show notes. Obviously, the Expo is coming up in, 16 days? Holy crap.
Oh, God.
For Thursday's show, as of right now, we're planning to have Mikey on from the Expo to help us get acquainted and let you guys know everything to expect this year. So we're excited about that. We'll be putting up in the Discord and giving people opportunities to submit questions if you're a supporter of the show there. Also, just a little programming note. Again, switching to our new Monday, Wednesday format. We're not doing the local card show shoutouts on Monday. We're doing those on Thursdays. We have gotten a few the last couple of days, but please send yours in.
Yeah, good point. And yeah, like the new format is Monday and Thursday. So please remember the card show shoutouts go on Thursday.
Did I say Wednesday? New format, Monday, Thursday. Don't know what I was thinking there. Okay. Want to switch gears now and chat about the October 22 Goldin Elite auction that ended yesterday. So on Saturday, the 22nd. I think this is worth spending a few minutes on. And part of the context here that I want to give, or maybe how to set the table for this, is I thought this was really significant in trying to give us a barometer on the health of the hobby. My caveat is, does it represent the entire hockey hobby? Of course not. It's one small segment. You look at like high-end sports cards, and we're going to go through the top 5 sales and talk about historical comps and sales context within that. So it doesn't reflect the whole hobby. And even though, spoiler alert, the results are pretty positive, it doesn't mean that by next week the hobby can't be in a whole different place either. So it's just a barometer. I guess that's the best way I can put it, right, Troy? that kind of gives us an idea where the hobby's at today. And I think it's super important because we keep hearing, going back to football being down 19%, and that there's a lot of kind of fear and panic in the sports card market. And what we've tried to do is say, okay, that's a concern. How is all this, or what's the situation for hockey cards specifically? And is there as much issues or threat of the market collapsing or tanking or all the other strong words people are using? Let's go through the top 5 sales, and we'll kind of go in order. So the biggest sale was a 2015 Connor McDavid Cup RPA at a 99. This one was a BGS 9.510, so highest graded BGS. Went for $134,400 US. That does include the buyer's premium. This is the highest selling BGS graded version ever of this card. There was a BGS 9 that sold for $120,000 US last April. The record sale of any type or of any grade of the card was a PSA 10 Pop 3 in July, which was for $228,000. So we're comparing maybe that $228,000 sale to this $134,000 sale. And you could definitely say, well, how is that good? This is one where I'm not saying that it's a smoking gun or obvious reason for the health of the hobby, but I don't think that this is a bad number per se, especially if you look at almost across the line how BGS values compare to PSA 10, that this is, right around half is sort of where they've been. I don't know. Do you agree with that, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's an interesting, I actually didn't know that those PSAs were that much higher, but looking at past stuff and like the analysis you've done, it kind of makes sense. It's nice that it's at least the highest sale for a BGS graded card of this one.
So again, does it mean that, is this an indicator that the hobby's in great shape? No, but I think that it came in the realm that tells you that the hockey card hobby itself, that's not a dramatic sign that it's in big trouble. Next highest selling card is really interesting one. It's a dual NHL Shield Auto 101. So it's one of those cards where one side is one player and then the other side is the other. I don't love those kind of cards personally.
I don't like them personally from the standpoint I want to display them, and I don't like that. I mean, the back of a regular card I'm fine with because it's stats or whatever. But if it has two really good images, or I want to be able to display both of them. I don't want to buy. Well, is it a 101? Yeah, so I can't buy 2 copies of it and have the cane. But so I don't like it. It's a cool card, but I wish I could display somewhere to display both sides.
If you can buy 2 of them, I know for a fact that you've wasted a lot of money on one of them. This is a really interesting card, though. So it's a Patrick Kane, Alex Ovechkin. Again, Dual Shield 101 2007. So it's Patrick Kane's rookie year, 2 years after Ovechkin's rookie year. It sold for $104,700. There's no way to do like an apples to apples comp comparison, but if you look at the highest selling Patrick Kane card ever previous to this, it was a 2007 Young Guns exclusives PSA 10 that sold for $7,500. Right?
Here's my question. This is crazy Troy talking, but does having Patrick Kane on this card hurt the value of it?
I don't know. I've never met Crazy Troy. Is he nice?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just way out there, but I was curious. You always hear about that. Like, does the value of a card with 2 players get affected by one of them? If it's like Ovechkin and some random player, but I don't know. I was just curious. It is his rookie though, and again, yeah.
$7,500 to $104,000. That's a big jump. It isn't the highest Ovechkin sale. So there's one in a year ago exactly today. So about the 25th of October, one of his 2005. The Cup rookie RPA 99s sold for $105,780 US, right? So that's about just over $2,000 more. No, $1,000 more. But that's not a rookie though, but that is a rookie. And so here we have a second year Ovechkin, a rookie Kane. I think 104,000 is a really strong number for that card.
I take back my comment. I think that was dumb Troy talking now that I think about it.
How many Troys are there?
There's lots of. Hey, it's not the voices. It's not the voices in my head I'm worried about. It's the voices in your head.
So there's 6 co-hosts to the Gongshow podcast. Like I said, hard to do apples to apples, but again, 104,000 or almost 105,000, I think is a really strong number for that card, given it is dual-sided. It's Kane's rookie, but not Ovechkin's. So I think I'd be pleased with that. Next card is a 2005 The Cup Crosby RPA out of 99 BGS 910. It sold for $91,800 US. Here's where we can do an apples to apples comparison. Another BGS 910 sold in May for $75,000. So we're going, that's 22% growth in 5 months. So again, I think that's another really strong indicator that the hobby isn't tanking or falling off a cliff. He's obviously had a great start. In a relatively healthy hockey card market, this is exactly what we would want and expect to see, right? Next card is a super rare 2012 Fleer Retro Wayne Gretzky Green PMG out of 10. It's a PSA 7. It sold for a pretty big number, $62,400. This is almost like the dual shield auto Ovechkin and Calen. This one's a little bit trickier because it is so rare. It's the only and first 2012 green PMG sale that's recorded in card letter sales history. And what's significant about that, if you guys will remember, is that their sales history goes back further than anyone and actually predates 2012. So they, in theory, right, they could have missed one or two, of course, but would have every sale, and there's no other green one on there. So we can do a couple kind of comparisons that I thought were a little bit relevant. If you look at the highest selling blue PMG from 2012 Fleer Retro, that's out of 50. Again, it's not a green out of 10, I get that. But that sold for $9,300 in July. So the green PMG sale is 6 times that, which again is, I think, what you'd expect in a reasonably healthy market, right? If it was 15,000, I think that might have been a little more of a worry. But to me, even a better sign is comparing the green PMG sale to, I'll call it its cousin for that year, the 2012 Fleer EX Essential Credentials Now, which is out of 9, so there's one less than the green PMG out of 10. That sold for $52,322 back in May. It's hard to compare the value between Essential Credentials and PMG, but given that sold for $52,000, this sold for $10,000 more, I'll fall back once again that it's a decent sign that the market is in a pretty good shape. Last card is the 2015 Connor McDavid Young Guns BGS 10 Black Label. So this sold for
$24,600.
Yeah, $24,600. And here's another one where we can do an apples to apples comparison. That same card had sold a month earlier, so almost 30 days to the button, for $22,800. So it's up 8% in 30 days. I'll say it again. Another decent sign that the hockey card market is not falling off the cliff. I don't know. What do you think of all that?
I think for sure we can say the higher end hockey market is doing okay, which hopefully follows down into the rest of the stuff we're seeing with like the card ladder index monthly gain, to establish that the hockey card hobby is still pretty healthy right now.
I think that's super important, because when you talk about like fear mongering or fear porn, like these words that we're hearing, that's where that starts, right? It's when a Justin Herbert card that sold for $1.8 million sells for $1.4 million. That makes a lot bigger news than a $2 Zach Wilson card that now is selling for $1.50.
Well, yeah, if I hear another Michael Jordan rookie card is sold for way less than what it was going for before. Now I don't know what it's at now. I'm going to guess, and I have no clue, is it around 200,000-ish maybe? I don't know. But, that jumped obviously during the pandemic, and it keeps coming down. Every time I listen to some other podcast, I always hear about a Jordan rookie sale that wasn't as much as I thought it would be or something.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's a really delicate balance, because we're also not trying to say, oh my God, the hockey market is booming. Go cash in your 401k, take out a
don't do that,
mortgage on your house and do that either. But I just think there's been so much panic over the last 2-3 weeks over in the general sports card market that hopefully this puts everyone at ease a little bit, that while at least today, right, nobody can predict a month from now, but we're doing pretty good in the hockey card market. A couple notes on new product releases for this week. We're doing in our new Monday, Thursday format. I'm not going to make that mistake again. We are covering new product releases on both days, I guess, whenever it makes sense. We talked a little bit about thinking Upper Deck CHL would be out next when the checklist was released. So it looks like November 2nd is a lock there. I don't know if I've ever been more confused by something related to this set. And I talked about this last week, I think, or on Thursday. I keep saying week too. Got to deprogram that I couldn't figure out why there's a bunch of Connor Bedard sales that appear to be from the set. So it's a star rookie number 401. And it still appears that there's a bunch of Connor Bedard sales, his star rookie base from the set that hasn't been released. And I've looked at this every, upside down, left, right, whatever way you can. And I just don't get it. Whether it's part of an update set or a special team release set that was released ahead of it. Just kind of interesting little investigation that I'm trying to figure out because I can't ever let something like this go. There are about 10 Bedard cards, though, in the set. I think like I talked about on Thursday, to me, the interest in this set would be because Connor Bedard is in the headlines. Everyone's talking about the chase for Bedard. People might be more apt to look at CHL maybe a little more seriously this year. And so of the 10 cards, there are base cards as well. There's an auto and there's a bunch of inserts. So it looks like he'll be pretty well represented. And I guess last thing on the whole Bedard thing is I haven't done the mental exercise yet, Troy, but I'm guessing it'll be a year or more before there's an NHL jersey card of his. So I think too, even from a short-term investment perspective, there could be some value in maybe flipping some of his cards over the next 6 months or something like that. The one other new product release note that I wanted to mention is it looks like on November 2nd as well, the 2022-23 MVP box set is coming out. This is a retail product. The reason why I wanted to bring it up is I was trying to, and I didn't look into this, so this is totally a on-air discussion here, Troy, but it's got to be one of the few box sets you can still buy at retail, right?
Is this like a complete set? Is that what you mean when you say box set?
Yeah, that's the way they put it. It's a complete set with some extra hits in it.
Okay.
I don't know. And maybe this is a nostalgia thing because I thought back to when you would go to Kmart or Target back in the day. It was all like the Fleer baseball card set or the Topps baseball card set.
I have some of those in my basement.
It just made me think, is there any other hockey set product that Upper Deck is putting out in a set form other than MVP?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. All I know from my personal experience going to when I've been going at Walmart and Targets, MVP is the only one I've really seen where they actually have the box set, or else they have the Kraken. I remember that was like its own little box set, the Lafreniere, whatever they did that box set with.
Yeah, the rookie box set.
But as a set collection, MVP is the one I remember seeing at like Target or retail, I'll call it. But maybe there's another one that I'm missing, but I think it's MVP.
Just in case anyone is interested, it's like, well, why would I want just a whole set of base cards? You do get the complete set, and there are still set collectors out there. So I think that'd be cool. They are throwing in exclusive blue parallels. I don't think from a value standpoint, those are that big of a deal, but they are there. Each box contains a bonus pack that can have some inserts, I believe, in it. And then they say this, that less than 5% of boxes do contain silver script parallels. Much more cheaper. You can buy just about any silver script you want in the $30 range. So it's probably just better to buy on the secondary market if that's your goal, to get that silver script. So they're pre-selling for about $30 US, which is pretty close to, I'm sure, what it'll be when it's in retail on November 2nd as well. Other than that, as far as the logjam goes, it's pretty status quo. Okay, Troy, it's the time of the show for personal pickups.
All right, my personal pickups, I have stuff. Actually, I got 2 hobby boxes of artifacts that I bought, and then I also bought into one break and didn't hit anything.
Nice. Did you open the artifacts yet?
I did. I got one of the boxes was pretty...
I figure if you got something major, you would have sent it to me by now.
One of the boxes was pretty boring. I got a Vasi, I don't know what it's called, a clear-cut acetate kind of rookie card. I can kind of show you. No one else can see it. That's pretty cool. And it was really weird. In one of the hobby boxes, I had 2 packs with 1 card in each pack. Just 1 card. But then I had 2 other...
Have any really fat packs?
I had 2 other packs that had 8 cards in each. I got a clear-cut Cam York rookie Flyers. It's kind of cool looking.
Oh, nice.
I did get a lot of hits. They're nothing...
Any good autos?
No. No good autos. No good enough. I didn't know. It's too far away. It was so good, I can't even remember who it was. So I can tell you that much.
Well, you did better than me. I bought into a couple breaks, literally got nothing. I am kind of war chesting right now, to be honest. We have the Expo coming up in a couple weeks. we've talked about this a little bit before too. We have Allure Skybox Platinum Series 1 coming out, and I plan to definitely dabble in those. And so I honestly hadn't looked too much in the past week, just sort of saving up for that sort of stuff. Okay, well, that is the Monday edition of the Gong Show. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, would like to support us and chat with us on the regular in the Hockey Cards Gong Show Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation and join the out of 99 support level tier. You can do that in the show description by following our Patreon link. In our link tree on Instagram, the Patreon link is there, or go to the Patreon website and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. Pretty easy to find us. If you're not following us on social media, why not? Come on. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Probably more I'm forgetting. Just search Hockey Cards Gong Show. Pretty easy to find there, too. Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast, Troy, is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. We will see you all on Thursday. Talk to you soon.